Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our April the 5th council meeting here at Temiskaming Shores. And I'll start with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we live, work, and gather on the traditional and unceded territory of the Algonquin people, specifically the Temiskaming First Nation. We recognize that the presence of the Temiskaming First Nation in our community since time immemorial and honor their long history of welcoming many nations to this beautiful territory and uphold and uplift their voice and values. So at that point, I'll call the meeting to order and I'll ask the clerk for the roll call, please.
Good evening, Your Worship. All members are present.
Thank you very much. Item 3 is a review of revisions or deletions to the agenda. And we got anything they need to add or delete from the agenda tonight? Seeing and hearing none, I got a motion be resolved that City Council approves the agenda as printed. Moved by Councilor Ferrier, second by Councilor MacArthur. All in favor? That is carried. During disclosure of pecuniary interest, general nature tonight.
Thank you. We have had 2 disclosures. Councillor Ferrier declared a conflict of pecuniary interest related to Section 15, New Business, Item D, Memo Number 013-2022 CS, titled the Haileybury Golf Course Permit Request, as well as Section 15, New Business, Item F, Memo Number 015-2022 CS, titled Frog's Breath Application Sponsorship for the Haileybury Golf Club, as he is a member of the Haileybury Golf Club. And Councillor Foley declared a conflict of pecuniary interest related to Section 15, New Business, Item E, Memo Number 014-2022 CS, titled the Tri-Town Ski and Snowboard Village Frog's Breath Application Sponsorship, as his wife is a member of the ski hill, or on the board of the ski hill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other conflict of interest tonight? Seeing and hearing none, we'll move on to item number 6, review and adoption of the council minutes. And I've got a motion be resolved that City Council approves the following minutes as printed. A, the regular meeting of council is held on March the 15th, 2022. Moved by Councillor Whalen, second by Councillor Jelly. Any comments on the minutes? All in favor? That is carried. There are no meetings, public meetings pursuant to the Planning Act, Municipal Act, or other statutes. We've reached our first question and answer period. Anything on the chat box at all? So, anything in the audience? So, if not, we'll move on to presentations. And tonight we have Jeremy Latour, the CET engineering technologist for the City of Temiskaming Shores, presenting the Citizens Reporter application, the update, and a demonstration. So, Jeremy, you're all set.
Okay, thank you and good evening once again. I have a quick presentation today at the request of staff on our new Citizen Reporter application, which is actually a portal inside our website that is now available to the public. As part of our asset management software, this was one component just to further public interaction between city staff and the public, of course, relates to issues within the city. So hopefully this is going to be an amazing tool to have to improve that communication. So my goal today is just to do a quick demo on how it works, and then I'll show you at the end as well on how we're going to end up managing everything on our end. Okay, so this portal is going to be available through the website. It is not an app through the App Store or Play Store. It's just a link within the website, and then you can save that on your phone if you wish. So here at the bottom, you'll see now we have a new tab called Citizen Reporter, and this is where you would go now to report problems if you encounter any or any sorts. Once you get to this page, just a quick reminder that this tool now is not for emergency purposes. If you do have an emergency to report, please call. This is more so to manage minor to medium-sized issues such as potholes and so on. So what you'll do once you get to this page, you'll proceed as a guest, and then you'll be forwarded to another page, which looks like this. So it's going to look a bit different depending on what you're opening it on, whether it's your phone, tablet, or desktop, but essentially you'll have the same capabilities. So on your right, you'll notice that there's different categories that the public can now choose to report. And then in each category, you'll have problem types. I won't go through all of them. I'll just pick one as an example. And then it basically it's the same process for each one. So if we take road problems, for example, at the bottom right, you'll see a green submission problem button. You'll go ahead and click on that. And then this is the information page on your right that you have to fill out. So at the very top, the first thing you'll do is that you'll select a problem type. There's many to choose from in here, and then if you're uncertain, there's always another at the very bottom. And then we ask you just do a quick description as to what that is. But for example, I know potholes are pretty popular this time of year, so I'll choose that one. And then details if you would like. The next step would be to fill out your name. So I'm gonna just type in my name real quick. Phone number, if you like, an email address as well. This program doesn't send response back to anybody. It does have the capabilities to do so, however, but that option is now disabled. And then same thing with phone number too. As far as the location, you'll then have to select an area on the map as to where that portal is. So if we take City Hall here, for example, what you'll do is you'll just click on the map to identify where that problem is, or you can type in the address, whichever one is easier, and then you can add pictures within this as well. And then once you're completed, you'll report it. And then at the top here, it says, thank you, your report has been submitted. Of course, if you have multiple problems, then you just repeat this step multiple times. If you have a different category and you stay in the same page, then you just hit the little blue arrow at the very top to go back to the other categories. Any questions on?
Kelly.
Do you have to insert your name, address, and/or email address?
You don't have to.
So they could be somebody could send in numerous complaints without identifying themselves?
At this moment, correct. But that could be changed if you prefer.
Well, my opinion is if you have a complaint, you should be putting your name to it. So, you know, if we want to talk to them about it or whatever. I'm just afraid if you don't, you're going to get all kinds of nuisance complaints about everything and wasting staff's time. It's my thoughts anyways.
I think if they do put their name and address and email, we can at least get back to them, have staff respond to the complaint and explain what's going on or how it's going to be fixed or thing. So, I mean, that's...
It helps for sure if you had to ever go back and contact that person if it's a very specific issue.
Yeah, it probably should be a priority that they actually put their name and address on. So, Councilor MacArthur?
Yes. What about an item that's not on here? You think we should have other?
Yeah, so that option is available in each category. So if I'll show you again real quick, if you go under any one of them and you go through this step, at the very top, once you select a problem type, at the very end, you'll notice there's another option, and that's available throughout each one in the event that something doesn't apply to that particular issue.
Good, thank you.
I know when we have our paper complaint process, they have to put their name and address on the paper complaints when they fill them out, and then we deal with that in-house here. So I think
but that required field can be mandatory.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think we should be doing that. So
okay.
Other questions? No, carry on.
Okay, I'll carry on. So this is the reporter. Just to show you what it looks like on a management side of things, this is what city staff is going to see. So as they come in, we'll notice here that you have a table at the very top identifying which category, problem type, and then status of each one, and then a name and so on as they come in. And they're all color-coded, as you can see here as an example. We do have our pothole repair that was submitted, but not yet received or in progress or completed. All the information here is at the bottom left. And then you'll notice that we have other problems as well that are in different stages. So this one's received, this one is in progress, and this animal one here got completed. So at the end of the day, what this does is that at the end of the year, it provides the city with accurate numbers as to how many complaints came in per category and what maybe the top 5 complaints were, just so that it helps in the operational side of things if some things have to be reviewed or justifying an increase in certain type of maintenance. So this is what the end goal is, to identify or to know what the major issues are within the city and try and address those as much as we can.
Councillor Jelly?
Yeah, sorry to ask more questions, but this, say you have up there dead animal, you know, submitted, received, in progress, completed. Does that go out to the proper authority to get finished with, or is that reported back to you and completed that way?
Yeah, so depending on the category and problem type, it gets then directed to the appropriate staff member, which at that point takes the appropriate measures to deal with that particular issue.
So there'd be an ongoing list of the items that haven't been completed yet that somebody would keep track of, make sure they actually had
Correct. So
actions?
I do have another component to aid with that, which identifies which ones are remaining and so on. Yep.
Chris?
So it is a good tool for us from a staff perspective to make sure that we're keeping on top and managing those reports that are coming in from the public, and that so let's say on a pothole, that's going to go to the Public Works Department, and the superintendents are going to be able to also track that as well to make sure that, you know, so they're assigning the work. They probably are going to use the work clerk to help them with inputting some of the data and responses, but it's a way for us to really manage the reports a little better. And so, as Jeremy mentioned, one is for tracking, and the other goal is hopefully to increase consumer or customer satisfaction by making sure that we're getting these, as these are being reported, that the work is being deployed.
Now, does this, once it's completed, does somebody respond back to the complainant as well, or
I can let Jeremy
continue on?
I can let Jeremy. I think he talked about it being disabled right now, the email, but I think
the automatic reply is disabled, but staff can, if needed. Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Whalen?
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. I'm thinking back to our last insurance premium increase. You know, we have our roads report that we use to justify our actions, but I agree that we should make it mandatory for a name and contact information, because if we're defending ourselves with our road reports and the insurance company gets a hold of this and there's been 16 complaints about an unplowed road, at least we see it's the same individual 16 times, not 16 different people, because that would not look good on our side if the insurance company ever got a hold of that. So I'd prefer to see the contact information.
So, are there comments? Jesse, Patricia? So, you got more to present as well?
Yeah, I just want to finish on a quick note.
Oh, go ahead, yeah.
Thank you. So staff has been working with this for a couple months now, and just to try and make it work as efficiently as possible and just trying to know how we can possibly manage this in the future, since this is completely new to us. Even though now it's available to the public, it's still in a beta phase, so adjustments might be made later on to better manage the system as we move forward. The other note too that I want to mention, nobody will be able to see publicly other people's reports or submissions for the time being, just until we have enough time to know and figure out how we want to manage this. But that option is available if council wishes to go that route, and then I can make the adjustments based on that response later on.
Yeah, I would think people's personal complaints sent in the city should remain private. I mean, it should go to staff, but I don't see a reason that the general public should be able to see those other complaints from other people. So that's my opinion anyway. So, Chris?
I think what Jeremy means, so you see those little icons that are on the map?
Yeah.
So that, let's say that bear paw or dog paw or whatever. So I believe, Jeremy, is that little, they would see the icon and the location, not maybe the details of it, but that if someone drove by, also saw a dead animal, that we're not getting multiple reports on the same thing. If you went on the website and said, oh, somebody's already reported that dead animal at the corner of Blackwall and Georgina, I don't need to worry about it. Is that sort of the idea?
Yeah, sorry, just to elaborate a bit more on that, we can decide what to show publicly. Obviously, we don't want to release any confidential information, such as emails and so on. So yes, at the end of the day, if you want to make this public, you would see the icons on a map, and then it would generate just the very basic information. So that, yes, that if somebody realizes that somebody else already reported it, they don't have to do it. They can either like that particular report, so you're not ending up with the 10 of the same issue.
Okay. Good. Okay. Any final questions, Councilor MacArthur?
I think it's great if we can sell this to the public and they know what to do. It's going to cut down on some cranky phone calls at any time of the day or night, and I think this you got to give it a chance and let people know about it, and I think that I'm hoping they'll cooperate with you.
Any other comments? Yes, Councillor Hewitt.
Yeah, so I actually think it might even increase public participation, but for valid reasons. And I support that we, as if we're ready to put out a composition for a complaint, that we at least attach a name to it and have some rationale surrounding it for sure. I think that's very important. And I always congratulate you, Jeremy, on your work and efforts in regards to our city monitoring and different efforts. So thanks so much.
Well, I think this would be an excellent tool there for staff and for the public as well. There, I mean, they should be able to streamline what needs to be done there, and it should be an excellent program. So, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate your presentation.
Perfect. Thank you.
And it's going to be an excellent addition to the city. Thank you, sir. Moving on to communications. 10A is a letter from Dick Farrell, the president of the local clay-built Homesteaders Museum, and it's a letter to the mayors, reeves, and councillors of South Temiskaming, and that's been received for our information. 10B is a letter from Peggy Moore, the coordinator for the Center to Education to Adults, regarding a donation request for a bursary program received on March the 14th for our information. 10C is a letter from George Bader-Bakur, the Chief Administrative Officer for the town of Wasaga Beach, regarding the County of Simcoe Regional Government Review Service Delivery Task Force regarding fire services, received on March the 11th for information. 10D is a letter from Monique Chartron, the Board Chair for the Temiskaming Elder Abuse Task Force, regarding Elder Abuse Awareness Day 2022, received on March the 15th, and there's a motion to be presented under Section 15 New Business. 10E is a letter from Serena Verma, the Dean of President and CEO of the Northern Ontario School of Medicine, regarding the NOSM expansion announcement received on March the 16th for our information. 10F is a letter from Nevin McEwen, the outgoing President and CEO of the Ontario Clean Water Agency, AQUA, and it's regarding the new AQUA President and CEO. That was received on March the 22nd for our information. 10G is a letter from Julie Scott, the City Clerk for the City of Waterloo. Ontario must build it right the first time, and that was received on March the 23rd for our information. 10H is a letter from the City of Port Colborne regarding the 2022 Year of the Garden proclamation, received on March the 24th for information. 10I is a letter from Carol Schofield, the Manager of Legislative Services and the Clerk for the Town of Port Erie, regarding the climate change action, received on March the 29th for information. 10J is a letter from Carolyn Lance, the Council Services Coordinator for the town of Georgina, regarding the federal government sanctions imposed on Russia, received on March the 31st for information. 10K, the letter from Danielle Manton, the City Clerk for the City of Cambridge, request to impose a moratorium on all new gravel applications, including expansion to existing licensed sites, received on March the 31st for information. And 10L, a letter from Kate Manson-Smith, the Deputy Minister, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, regarding More Homes for Everyone plan, received on March the 31st for information. So, for moving and seconder, moved by Councillor Whalen, second by Councillor Jelly. Any comments, items you want to bring back at all? Councillor Jelly?
Nothing back, just a quick comment on item B, the request from South Education des Adultes. We also entertained that last evening at the Legion meeting, and we will support that, providing it falls within our parameters too. Just a note of interest.
Were you using your microphone there, Councillor Jelly? Are you using your microphone?
No, I got it on.
Okay, sorry, just couldn't hear you very well. So any other comments? If not, we got a motion moved by Councillor Whalen, second by Councillor Jelly. Be resolved, the City Council agrees to deal with communication items 10A through 10L according to the agenda references. All in favor? That is carried. Item number 11 is the committees of council, the community and regional. And I got a motion to be resolved that the following minutes be accepted for information. A, the minutes of the Niskud Business Improvement Area Board of Management meeting held on February the 28th, 2022. And B, the minutes of the Temiskaming Shores Public Library Board meeting held on February the 23rd, 2022. We're moving a seconder for that motion. Councillor Foley, second by Councillor MacArthur. Any comments on those two sets of minutes? All in favor? That would be carried. There are no committees of council, internal department reports tonight. Is there any reports by members of council? Councillor Whalen?
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. Just quickly for the PPP committee and those of us that attended the meeting with the district fire chiefs 2 Fridays ago. I don't even remember anymore. But I've been in discussions with our chief and office of the fire marshal, and I was able to land a delegation this coming Monday with the Solicitor General's office to discuss this. The proposal has been changed slightly, not to any great extent, but with all due respect, I really don't see us having much of an impact. But I think it's important that we do stress that we probably won't feel the impact of this year or next year. My fear is it'll be 5 years down the road when our older fellas decide it's time to step aside. I honestly think we're going to have a hard time getting some people to step up and fill those positions. I've spoken to lots of fire chiefs that have the same concern, so that's what I want to voice on Monday. So just so you're aware that it's coming, but it's still being negotiated. Thank you.
Okay. Other reports? Just wanted to mention that 3 or 4 will be going to Phenom conference in North Bay. So that's coming up in early May, the 5th, 6th of May, I believe it is. We're going to have the leadership debate there as well, so all 4 parties are going to be involved there as well at the Capitol Center. So So it should be some interesting debate, and we should get some input on what the questions are, I would think, so that should be interesting. So, any other reports? If not, are there any notice of motions tonight? Seeing and hearing none, we'll move into the new business. 15A is the Temiskaming Elder Abuse Task Force, the Elder Abuse Awareness Day Proclamation. And I got a motion whereas seniors deserve to live safely with dignity and as independently as possible with the support they need. And whereas elder abuse is most often defined as any act that harms a senior or jeopardizes their health or welfare. And whereas it is imperative that community members are aware that elder abuse happens and educated to see older adults as positive contributors to the community, older adults need to be aware of their rights and as well as the resources available to them. And whereas all our residents should watch for signs of abuse, such as physical trauma, withdrawal, depression, anxiety, fear of family members, friends, or caregivers. Now therefore be resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores hereby proclaims June the 15th, 2022 as Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Our rights don't get old in the City of Temiskaming Shores and encourages all residents to recognize and celebrate the accomplishments of our seniors. So who would like to make that motion? Councillor Jelly? And Councillor Whalen. So, any comments? All in favor? So we can't abuse each other anymore after this. So. 15B is Memo 011-2022 CS, the short-term accommodation policy. I a motion be resolved the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledge receipt of Memo 011-2022 CS, and the Council directs staff to present bylaw 2022-014, being a bylaw for the licensing of short-term accommodations in the City of Temiskaming Shores for its third and final reading for consideration at the April 5th, 2022 regular Council meeting later tonight. So, moved by Councillor Whalen, second by Councillor Foley. Any comments? All in favor? That is carried. 15C is Memo 012-2022 CS, the City Library Board Memorandum of Understanding. A motion be resolved the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledge receipt of Memo 012-2022 CS, and the Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter into a memorandum of understanding between the City of Temiskaming Shores and the Temiskaming Shores Public Library Board for consideration at the April 5th, 2022 regular council meeting, and direct staff to repeal bylaw 2012-083. So, do we have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Ferrier, seconded by Councillor MacArthur. Any comments? All in favor? That is carried. Item number D is Memo 013-2022 CS, the Hillbury Golf Course Club permit request, and Councilman LaFerrier disclosed a pecuniary interest with this item and therefore will not be participating in the discussion on this subject matter. And the motion reads, be resolved the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledge receipt of Memo 013-2022 CS, and the Council hereby denies the request from the Hillbury Golf Course to waive their building permit fees for the rehabilitation of their rooftop patio. So, moved by Councillor Whalen. Seconder, moved by Councillor Jelly. Any comments? All in favor? That would be carried. 15E is Memo 014-2022 CS, the Tri-Town Ski and Snowboard Village Frog's Breath application sponsorship, and Councillor Foley disclosed a pecuniary interest on this item and therefore will not be participating in the discussion on this matter tonight. The motion reads, be it resolved the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledge receipt of Memo 014-2022 CS, and the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores approves the request from the Tri-Town Ski and Snowboard Village and agrees to sponsor their funding application to the Frog's Breath Foundation to help fund upgrades to their T-bar lift electrical system for an upset limit of $65,000. So, mover and seconder for that motion. Moved by Councillor Ferrier, second by Councillor Hewitt. Any other comments? All in favor? That would be carried. 15F was Memo 015-2022 CS, the Frog's Breath application sponsorship for the Hillbury Golf Course, and the Council of Ferrier disclosed pecuniary interest on this item and will not be participating in the discussion on this matter. The motion reads, be it resolved that council for the city of Temiskaming Stars acknowledge receipt of memo 015-2022-CS, and the council for the city of Temiskaming Stars approves the request from the Hillbury Golf Club and agrees to sponsor their funding application to the Frog's Breath Foundation for their deck renovations in an upset limit of $20,000. So we're moving a second for that motion. Councillor Foley, second by Councillor MacArthur. Any comments? All in favor? That is carried. 15G is memo 016-2022-CS, the deeming bylaw for Roy at 419 Lawler Street, Plan M48NB, Lot 174, Parcel 10970 SST, and Plan M48NB, Lot 117, Parcel 21618 SST. And the motion reads, whereas the owners of 419 Lawler Street in Hillbury would like to merge lots on title through the adoption of a deeming bylaw in compliance with the Planning Act in order to create one property with one rural number. And whereas the owners have acknowledged that the registration of the pending deeming bylaw on title would be at their expense. Now therefore be resolved, the council for the city of Temiskaming Stars hereby direct staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to deem M48NB Lot 174 and Plan M48NB Lot 117 to be no longer lots on a plan of subdivision. And further, the council hereby directs staff to prepare the necessary deeming bylaw for consideration at tonight's April 5th regular council meeting. So, moved by Councillor Whalen, seconded by Councillor Jelly. Any discussion? All in favor? That is carried. 15H, Administrative Report CS 014-2022, the zoning bylaw amendment, ZBA 2022-02 for 166 Armstrong Street North. And a motion be resolved, the council for the city of Temiskaming Stars acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report CS 014-2022. The council agrees to amend the provisions of the city of Temiskaming Stars zoning bylaw 2017-154 to permit the zone change from medium density residential R3 to medium density residential exception 19. And the council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to amend the city of Temiskaming Stars zoning bylaw 2017-154 for consideration at tonight's regular council meeting. So we're moving a seconder for that motion. Moved by Councillor Hewitt, seconded by Councillor Foley. Any comments? All in favor? That is carried. 15I is Administrative Report CS 015-2022, the Far Park concession lease. And I got a motion to be resolved, the council for the city of Temiskaming Stars acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report CS 015-2022. And the council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter into a lease agreement with Linda Gagne, the owner and operator of the Fry Pit, for the use of the Far Park concession stand from May the 1st, 2022 through to April the 30th, 2025 for consideration at the April 5th, 2022 regular council meeting tonight. Moved by Councillor MacArthur, seconded by Councillor Jelly. Any comments? All in favor? That is carried. It'd be good to have that concession booth back open again. It's been 2 or 3 years since that's been used. 15J, Administrative Report CS 016-2022, the noise bylaw amendment for the bird bangers. And I got a motion be resolved the city council for the city of Temiskaming Stars acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report CS 016-2022. The council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to amend Section 2 and Section 3 and Appendix 1 of the Schedule A in the bylaw 2012-019 relating to propane fire bird cannons, otherwise known as bird bangers, for consideration of first and second readings at tonight's April 5th regular council meeting. And the council directs staff to submit the short-form wording and set fines to the Ministry of Attorney General and the Regional Senior Justice of the Ontario Court of Justice, respectively, prior to final reading of the bylaw. I'm going to move in a seconder. Move by Councillor Jelly, second by Councillor The Farrier. Any comments? All in favor? That is carried. 15K, Administrative Report CS 017-2022, the 2022 municipal election, advanced voting, reduced hours at institutions and election procedures. And the motion reads, be it resolved, the Council for the City of Twisting Shores acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report CS 017-2022. The Council authorizes staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to establish dates for advance voting for the 2022 municipal election for consideration at the April 5th, 2022 regular council meeting. And the Council authorizes staff to prepare the necessary bylaw for reduced hours of voting in institutions and retirement homes on voting day for consideration at tonight's April 5th regular council meeting. And the Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to adopt the use of corporate resources during an election policy for the City of Twisting Shores for consideration at the April 19th regular council meeting. So, we have a mover and second, Councilor Ferrier, seconded by Councilor Foley. Any comments, questions? Councilor Hewitt.
Take me a moment to take the,
Okay,
you can hear me?
You're unmuted now, yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, so primarily I just want to make sure that the institutions that are involved, that there's a lot of communications with the Chief Administrative Officer and those surrounding our senior homes and such, that they get fair warning and have multiple communications to make sure that they have that time frame, because it looks like a 2-hour time frame, and correct me if I'm wrong here.
I'm going to let the clerk answer that question. So.
Thank you. Through your mayor. Yes, Councillor Hewitt. So I have been in touch with each of the retirement homes and institutions regarding the dates, and I'll also be communicating with them closer to just to confirm times and some advertising as well prior to staff going to ensure everyone has an opportunity to vote.
Okay, thanks so much, because I know in the past the seniors, they weren't necessarily aware of different time frames and opportunities, and we really need to make sure that we reach out to our seniors that built this city.
Yeah, good.
And I also wanted to mention, someone has a radio in the background. I'm not sure if everybody can hear that, but that's a little bit of a congestion.
There's nothing going on here at all in council chambers, so not sure where you're picking that up from.
Wow, okay, so I can definitely hear it. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions, comments? All in favor? That is carried. 15L, Administrative Report PW 011-2022, the Household Hazardous Waste Collection Event. And the motion reads, be it resolved, the Council for the City of Twisting Shores acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report PW 011-2022, and that Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter into an agreement with Drain All Limited for the provision of collection and disposal services for the Household Hazardous Waste Collection Event to be held on June the 4th, 2022, and to repeal bylaw 2016-018 for consideration at tonight's April 5th, 2022 regular council meeting. So, we're moving a second, Councilor Ferrier, second by Councilor Jelly. All in favor? That is carried. And 15M, Administrative Report PW 012-2022, the Truck Waste Scale Award for the Liskeard Landfill Expansion. And I motion to be resolved, the Council for the City of Twisting Shores acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report PW 012-2022. The Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter in an agreement with the Canadian Scale Company for the supply and installation of a truck weight scale at the Liskeard landfill, along with compatible software for a total price of $126,790 plus applicable taxes, for consideration at the April 5th regular council meeting. So, moved by Councilor Whalen, second by Councilor MacArthur. Any comments? That is carried. And last, new business, and Memo 007-2022 RS, the Hillbury Fire Hall project update. And the motion reads, be resolved, the Council for the City of Twisting Shores acknowledge receipt of Memo 007-2022 RS, titled the Hillbury Fire Hall project update for information purposes. So, we're moving a seconder. Moved by Councilor Foley, seconded by Councilor Jelly. All in favor? That is carried. Moving on to number 16, the bylaw. We got a motion be resolved that bylaw 2022-056, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2019-018 to appoint community representatives to various committees and boards for the 2019-2022 term of council for the Public Library Board. Bylaw 2022-057, being a bylaw to adopt a memorandum of understanding with the Temiskaming Shores Public Library Board to define the roles and key responsibilities of the library board, the library CEO, and the city. This actually repeals bylaw 2012-083. Bylaw 2022-058, being a bylaw to designate any plan of subdivision or part thereof that has been registered for 8 years or more, which shall be deemed as not a registered plan of subdivision for 419 Lawler Street, roll number 5418-030-005, 135.00/136.00. Bylaw 2022-059, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2017-154 to rezone 166 Armstrong Street North from the medium-density residential R3 zone to the medium-density residential exception 19 zone to prohibit residential uses and permit a reduced lot area. Roll numbers 5418-010-002-025.00. Bylaw 2022-060, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Linda Gagne for the provision of the concession services at Far Park. Bylaw 2022-061, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2012-09 to prohibit and regulate certain noises within the city of Temiskaming Shores regarding the propane-fired bird cannons. This is first and second reading only. Bylaw 2022-062, being a bylaw to provide an advance voting to be held prior to the 2022 election voting day. The voting day is October the 24th, 2022. Bylaw 2022-063, being a bylaw to provide for reduced hours of voting in institutions and retirement homes on voting day, October 24th, 2022. Bylaw 2022-064, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Drain All Limited for the provisions of collection and disposal services for the household hazardous waste collection event to be held on June the 4th, 2022. Bylaw 2022-065, being a bylaw to enter in an agreement with Canadian Scale Company Limited for the supply and installation of every truck weigh scale, including compatible software at the Nilisquil landfill site. So these bylaws be hereby introduced and given first and second reading. So, moving and seconder for that motion, Councillor Ferrier, second by Councillor MacArthur. Any comments? All in favor? That carried. And motion be resolved to bylaw 2022-014, 056, 057, 058, 059, 060, 062, 063, 064, and 65 be given third and final reading, be signed by the mayor and clerk, and the corporate seal affixed there too. So, and just to note that the bylaw 2022-014, being a bylaw for the licensing of short-term accommodation in the city of Temiskaming Shores, received first and second reading back on February the 1st council meeting, and public consultation has occurred prior to the return for the third and final reading. So, moving and seconder, Councillor Jelly, second by Councillor Foley. Any last comments? All in favor? That is carried. Schedule of council meetings. Next one set up for Tuesday, April the 19th at 6 p.m. And subsequent to that, it'll be Tuesday, May the 3rd, 2022. We reached the second question and answer period. Do we have any questions on the chat line from the public? Council Whalen?
Yeah, my apologies. I should have mentioned this earlier, but congratulations to the airport board on the significant funding that they got.
Yeah.
Very good news.
Yeah, to get a new snowplow there and replace some of the equipment that was purchased back in 1983, I think one was, and in 1986 was the other one, I think so. So it's, and then get a bunch of work done on the runway as well there, and then the apron. So that's welcome funding from FedNor there. Really appreciate all their support. So, any other comments, questions? Just wanted to make one comment. There's still a lot of COVID cases flying around the area here, and I certainly would encourage anybody to continue wearing masks, especially in indoor settings there. I mean, that's going to be critical to keep control of what's happening there. You're seeing it all over the province and all over Canada, really. So just want to encourage everybody that's listening tonight to continue wearing their masks if possible. So, other than that, we're going to move into a closed session. We've got a motion be resolved. The City Council agrees to convene in a closed session at 6:55 to discuss the following matters: the adoption of the March 15, 2021 closed session minutes, and B, under Section 239(2) of the Municipal Act, the labor relations or employee negotiations regarding the organizational chart. So, we're moving a seconder. To move by Councilor Ferrier, second by Councilor MacArthur. All in favor to adjourn? We are adjourned for 10 minutes and we'll get back. So thanks everybody for attending tonight.